At Manhattan University, a graduate degree is not out of reach. You'll gain real-world skills, credentials employers value, and connections to New York City's top companies. Choose from their new Master of Science degrees in Healthcare Informatics, Digital Marketing and Analytics, Business Analytics, or Financial Analytics, all built around hands-on learning and industry partnerships. Graduate ready to lead, not just work. Take the next step at manhattan.edu/graduate. Manhattan University. Lead the future.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Calling in right now, we have Senator Kevin Cramer from the great state of North Dakota. And Senator, there's so many things going on. Where do you want to start?
I think we have to start right with this incredible, courageous move that President Donald Trump made. I think his timing was perfect in making the decision to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities, their ballistic missile capabilities, their Navy, pave the way for hopefully a significant regime change going forward. I think it's a geopolitical move that's going to have lots of ramifications, certainly some risk. You never take this level of kinetic action without risk, but I also think it comes with some tremendous rewards, not the least of which is peace in a region that has been looking for some stability for a very long time. Now it's going to be up to the people of Iran, and I think their neighbors, I think the Arab neighbors who certainly now are in the fight whether they wanted to be or not because the United States dragged them in, but because Iran has dragged them in by attacking their bases and their countries. But so there are huge geopolitical moves taking shape, really tectonic shift, if you will, in the Middle East, which I think could shake out very favorably, not just for peace and stability, but for economic opportunity, for alliances among entities. I often refer to Middle Eastern countries as our frenemies, but our frenemies are quickly becoming our friends. And I think one of the things that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, John, is that Donald Trump really paved the way for a lot of this by befriending some unlikely Arab partners when he did the Abraham Accords in the first term. And when Jared Kushner was leading that charge, getting countries like the UAE, to not just agree, but to become part of the Abraham Accords, to have normal relations, international relations, not just with the United States, but with Israel. And the more that gets normalized, the Morocco was, I think, next, and you just saw this snowball effect. And then came the Biden years, and everybody sort of stepped back a little bit. You saw Biden kowtowing to Iran, allowing Iran to keep a ship in the Red Sea that was spying on American forces and turning the Houthis and other Iranian-supported groups loose to go after American servicemen and women, killing and injuring several in that process. But then Donald Trump came back and put the hammer down. Now, one of the things I think, John, that we don't talk about enough, doesn't get enough attention, that is Donald Trump. It was a year ago this month, as you and I speak, it was a year ago that he sent a letter to the Ayatollah pleading with him to come to the negotiating table to talk about reducing their nuclear capabilities and for some favorable terms. But they wouldn't negotiate, never came to the table, pushed back, stalled, pretended, stalled some more. And then, of course, ultimately, when it was clear that they were heading toward a nuclear weapon,
Senator,
and more importantly, the capability to deliver it.
Senator, I know President Trump for 45, 50 years, and the art of the deal, he knew how to make a deal. And people that make the deal with him, and he shakes their hands, he means it, and they know he means it. And they trust him. Whether it was North Korea, he's disappointed in Putin, but they have an understanding at least. The one thing I like about Putin, no matter how much he threatens, he's smart enough not to start a nuclear war.
I think it's a very important point about Putin that you're just making, because that is By the way, it is a certain amount of leverage that he holds because who wants nuclear war? Nobody. Not even a small nuclear weapon. One launched at one place in Ukraine would be awful. So you're right. It's an important point to highlight that Donald Trump has prevented that from happening, while at the same time keeping everybody at bay and keeping everybody at the negotiating table. So it's a great example. I think with Iran, though, he ran out of time to give them any more choices because they were, fast forwarding into a nuclear capabilities. Midnight Hammer, John, speaking of the art of the deal, now, I may not be the world's greatest business person and negotiator, but I do know this. If something happened to me like what happened to Iran's nuclear capabilities on the night of Midnight Hammer and the 12-day war that Israel, paved the way for, I would say, okay, this guy's serious. I wouldn't screw with him anymore. But after that, the Ayatollah kept, stalling, and finally the president did exactly what he had to do.
They wiped out the leadership of Ayatollah the first time. They wiped out the leadership of the Ayatollah the second time. Mm-hmm. And, who's volunteering to be on the third deck?
Well, evidently the Ayatollah's son, which is, kind of remarkable.
If it was me, I'd say, oh, not me.
Yeah, I'm going to convince.
Don't sell any life insurance to him.
Well, John, what's interesting about that whole episode, the thing I think sometimes we forget is that the regime in Iran, the reason they're different than so many of the other Islamic states, the Arab states, is that they are radical Islam. They are, their theology is more important than anything. And in their mind, martyrdom is better than peace. It's better than life. And so it's hard to have a rational debate or discussion or negotiation with somebody for whom death is a better outcome than life. Now, I believe that as a Christian, but I still don't want to accelerate it. And these guys just never came to the table. They'd rather die spectacularly than live in humble peace. So he did what he had to do, and it's to the benefit of the world.
Well, Senator Kevin Cramer, thank you so much for coming on, and let's catch up again real soon.
I look forward to it as always, John. Thank you.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.